My name is Melvin from Daily Guide. Honorable, when the NPP government took power in 2017, one of the major challenges in the power sector was erected power supply, or what we used to refer to as DOMSO. We didn't hear you make any reference to that when you mounted the podium to address us. Is the situation completely over, or is it just something that you're managing for now? Thank you.
You made it to understand that the legacy debt has reduced drastically by 80%. Am I right? My name is Nana Pogu. I write for Daily Searchlight. Sorry. The legacy debt has reduced by 80%. Is that the issue? If that's the case, when is TOR going to be on full stream? Because I think recently there was some newspaper publication that TOR has come back on track, but we don't know. We want to know if the debt has been paid. Then it means that TOR is in a position to resume its full operation. Is that the issue? Thank you very much.
My name is Samuel Opoku Brown from Accra FM and CTV. Mr. Minister, last year, September, you made us know that the car power badge will be moved from Tema to Takoradi. We wanted to hear something about it, and how has plans got into in terms of moving the badge from Tema to Takoradi? Thank you very much.
My name is Michael Craig Afo from Oman FM. My question is also on the TOR issue. At the moment, my understanding is that one of the components of the TOR plant, that is the Orific, which is part of the RSCC, is damaged, and so the refinery at the moment is shut down. Previous minister made us to understand that government intend to establish a refinery facility in the western region. Yet we haven't gotten there yet. What is the government plan to make sure that TOR is recapitalized for the country to benefit from the facility? Thank you.
My name is Blessed Sogan. I work with Class 91.3 FM. Honorable, during your presentation, you pointed out that research work is going on for exploration of oil to commence in the Voltairean Basin. There are reports that the government of Ghana is having some diplomatic frictions with neighboring Republic of Togo. As at the 6th of December 2018, there are indications that we've not resolved such a challenge. Is that not likely to hamper our progress in terms of the research and the exploration of oil within the Voltairean Basin? Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Ernest Mina. I work with Joy News. I would want to find out from the minister. Next week, we understand that the ECG concessionaire starts. What are we to expect? And I'm asking specifically with regards to tariffs. Now, the company that is taking over is making a strong case for an increase in tariffs. We know PRC sets that, but they're saying that it's because they have a lot to clear by way of debt that government has contributed to. In fact, they say a huge part of the debt is what government owes them. What should we expect, and what is government's own position as far as tariff increase, any suggestion or proposal for a tariff increase is concerned? Thank you.
But the status of DOMSO, I think I made mention of the statement, my initial statement. When we assumed power, you all saw what was happening in terms of the prolonged, power shortages, which has affected the growth of this country. GDP for several years was below 4%, and this was a result of the insufficient power to power the various industries. We always made mention in opposition that one of the critical problems that was affecting the industry has to do with management. And so it is clear that the DOMSO issues have been largely resolved. What we are witnessing now, I don't want an intermittent slap. It's an intermittent shortages that you see sometimes happening. These are occurring because of some technical issues. For instance, yesterday, somebody had to go and cut a very big tree, which fell on one of the high tension lines somewhere in BA. I had a lot of report from BAs about shortages of supply. Sometimes, some delays in delivery of our light crude oil to the power plant. These things are brought normally by ship, heavy cargoes. Sometimes the delay, for instance, make us experience some shortfall. A typical example of what just happened about 3 days ago when they have to move the cargo vessels from the Lome waters to the Accra waters. Okay, that delay. So we have actually addressed the doomsday which we've been witnessing 3, 4, 5 weeks without power in places. What is happening now is not a management problem. What you see happening from time to time, which you are largely addressing, has to do with technical issues, upgrade of transformers, upgrade of high tension lines. When these things happen, the technical people sometimes will have to shut the line down for some maintenance activities to be done. I think the good people of Ghana, there have been large improvement in the power supply. There's no doubt about that. I know. But because for this short period, we all got used to constant power supply, even a 5 minutes out of power, you have every right to complain. But I'm promising you that under able leadership of the guys sitting in the front row, we'll be able to address this issue completely. Most of the issues will be addressed by the various agency heads that are gathered here. I'll start with number 7. What to expect next week after the takeoff of the ECG by the private sector participation that we are envisaging. I'll call on the ECG MD to be supported by my Deputy Minister to address it. Please, come out here and talk to you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Just some clarification. Look at the questioner indicated that there will be tariff increase because concessionaire is incurring legacy debts. Just want to clarify that under the transaction agreement, the concessionaire is not taking on any liabilities. So from that perspective, we do not expect that there will be tariff increase or decrease because concessionaire is taking on any liabilities. And we wish to emphasize that the determination of tariffs is a prerogative of the Public Utility Regulatory Commission, and they will handle that expertly. So whatever adjustments would come with the introduction of the concessionaire would be handled by the agency that Ghanaians have allowed or approved to do just that. So let us wait for PRC to make the determination before we can comment on whether there is an increase or decrease with the introduction of the concessionaire. So this is my comment on that.
I think a journalist asked about or mentioned or alluded to the fact that there's going to be a transfer next week to the concessionaire. That is not the case. That is not the case. We have had some issues with some guarantees that was expected of the concessionaire, and that has not been ready. It's not ready. I cannot blame the concessionaire alone. We have had some delays also in the tariff setting by the PURC. That has also gone some way to not helping the concessionaire in providing the guarantees. So we are meeting again in a couple of weeks' time with the concessionaire for the guarantees, and after which a date will be set for the transfer from ECG to the concessionaire.
Question number 2, the reductions of the debt portfolio. We mentioned the legacy debt, 80%. The legacy debt itself, in terms of the total portfolio, include all the energy sector agencies, the TOR, VRA, ECG, name them. But the 80% of what has been paid so far is the payment being made from VRA. VRA's debt largely has been reduced by 80%. But when you put all the total together into one basket, what we have, the payment that we've been able to make will be in the range of about 15 to 20%. But what is happening is because of the weaknesses that are already within the system, each time you make the payment, the debt keeps on accumulating. And as I speak, the debt is back to a level of between 2.6 and 2.7 billion US dollars. Movement of the car power from Tema to Takoradi. One of the activities aggressively undertaken by the ministry in collaboration with the sector agencies is to relocate the car power currently in Tema, which is feeding on a fuel that is of very expensive source as a feed for the plant. We're sending it to Takoradi to feed on gas because most of you are aware we have excess gas that will be coming from Takoradi. Programs are far advanced in terms of completion, and the completion date for this particular project is estimated 30th of July 2019. We should be able to complete that. Another question asked was the component of the TOR plant that was damaged and shut down, and government position to recapitalize TOR. I'll call on the Deputy Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin, and then my good friend, the MD, who is on top of issues, to come and speak to the public, the component of the plant, and the discussion we just have, I think about 3 days ago, on the modalities to recapitalize TOR and make sure that TOR begins to, refine crude oil on permanent basis. So, Mr. MD, please come and speak to the...
I just want to answer one direct question. It was about when TOR is going to be on full stream. As many of you know, TOR has a nameplate capacity of 45,000 barrels per stream day. Currently, TOR is able to produce at 25,000 barrels per stream day, and it's likely because one of our furnaces was taken out of action about a couple of years ago. We intend to replace that, and the new furnace should come in sometime early in the second quarter, after which we will install. I can say without fear of contradiction that we'll be back on full stream by the end of the third quarter, but end of the second quarter, but certainly in the third quarter we'll be back full stream. Also, let me just say that in 2017 January, when the present team took over at TOR had a situation where we had not been able to maintain our plant, service our plant since 2009. So in fact, TOR had missed 3 cycles of maintenance. So what we did was really rehabilitation. But because the plant had been on and off for a very long time, sometimes some of the problems you do not see ex ante. It's only when you are in operation that some problems occur. The issue which was, which the gentleman, I believe, is from Joy News, about the recent shutdown of the catalytic cracker. It had to do with the development of hotspots in a particular area. We've got all the materials. They are being cleared as I speak. They came on Sunday. We've been there. We are clearing them. And it will take us just 4 days to repair that, after which the testing and the drying will take another week. And the RFCC will then be able to crack the atmospheric residue into PMS and LPG, cracked fuel, and other products. The discussions which the Honourable Minister was referring to was discussions we have had with the Ministry as well as the Ministry of Finance. This is not yet government policy, but our view is that if TOR is to move forward into the future as an ongoing enterprise, then we will need to expand our capacity. And to do that very, very, very quickly, we may have to bring in some modular units of a capacity up to about 40. Since we already intend to increase our capacity from 45 to 60, we can have on the Tor compound 100,000 barrels per stream day capacity over the next couple of years. We think this is the quickest way to do it. In addition, we believe that since this cannot be financed by Tor or government, we should bring in private sector participation. And so I believe that tentatively the government is not averse to bringing in a private equity partner who will take up shares and make that investment to include an oversized hydro treater which will take care of the regulations regarding sulfur content. So that is what we intend to do. I believe that our discussions with the two ministries were very, very positive, but it's not yet government policy. We'll have to take it a step further. But meanwhile, we are doing all the things that we need to do now to ensure that when that policy is actually in place by government, we will go ahead and run with it. So government is not averse to having private sector participation in Tor. After all, 0% of 100, that's the dividends, that 0%, that's what we pay to government. A new person coming in, raising the capacity to 100,000 should enable us to do what we have to do. Pay dividends, make some money, pay dividends to government. So that is the trajectory that Tor is going on. Thank you very much.
I just want to add on the capitalization of Tor. There are, I think, about 4 options we are looking at, and MD has just mentioned one of the options, that of private sector participation. We are considering 3 other options, allocating a share, Ghana's share of the 10 oil to Tor, so that when they refine and sell, that money is used to capitalize Tor, so they can continue to get crude oil supply. We're also looking at the possibility of a G2G between the government of Ghana and the government of Nigeria on one hand, and also between us and the government of Equatorial Guinea. Discussions are far advanced, and the Honorable Minister will be leading a team very soon to Equatorial Guinea to finalize the discussions. And so when that is true, we will be getting crude oil supply on concessionary basis from one of these 2 countries that I have mentioned. The third one is government itself mobilizing money. They're asking about $200 million US. And so if government is not, and that is just for feedstock, if that is not forthcoming, the option that he mentioned, the private sector participation, is the other option that we are pursuing. Thank you.
The other question is Togo-Ghana maritime issues in terms of the Volta Basin. In fact, it's important to know that we don't have any issue with the Volta Basin. I think people get confused between the Volta Basin and then the Keta Basin. The Volta Basin is actually even in the north. As that whole area, that is the onshore exploration. The Keta Basin is the one that is quite close to us here. There have been some developments for which the president put a team to address. And it is good that the leader of that team, one of the top brains in maritime issue we have across the sub-region, who is leading the delegation, is right here with us. And so maybe what has been the current development, if you can just let the media understand in terms of the Keta Basin, but not the Volta Basin. I think that's what the person wants to know. Yeah.
I think Minister has made clear the distinction between the Volta Basin and the maritime environment. As far as we are concerned, the Volta Basin is on land, and the land boundary between Ghana and Togo was settled by our colonial masters before independence, so there is no issue there. The contending issue is the maritime boundary. There is no maritime boundary when we go into the oceans. And that is what we are trying to establish now. So exploration into the ocean, there could be a question, but in the Volta, there shouldn't be a question now. Now, as to the status on the maritime boundary is that the government has put up a team, as Minister has said, and I'm leading the technical team. Senior Minister is the overall boss of this committee, and we have been holding talks with the Togolese counterparts. And as at now, the latest thing is to locate the last colonial pillar that enters the sea. That is where we are working on now, because it is that pillar that we will use as a reference point to tie into the ocean. So that is where we are, and we've held about 3 meetings, and the next meeting is going to be, in fact, they put it on Valentine's Day, 14th February. So I don't know whether our wives will allow us to go, but that is the status we have. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Godwin Atamesa. I work for Ghana News Agency. Last year, government went to the market under the ESLA bond to seek for money to support the energy sector companies. And the target was around 3.7 billion Ghana cedis. We want to find out how much has been disbursed to all the energy sector agencies and any mechanism put in place to ensure the money is used for the purpose for which we went to the market. Thank you.
My name is Selom Amenya. I work with TV3. While in opposition, the NPP was raising concerns about fuel prices. Now that you are in power, we've seen some increases and decreases here and there. I want to find out if there are plans in place to ensure that we have a stable pricing scheme without depending on prices on the international market. Thank you.
Yes, my question borders on the 2 sectors, the energy and then the petroleum. For the energy, my question is that in this our day, the solar energy, I didn't hear the minister speak on it. Is it relevant to our day? And the other question on petroleum is that does your ministry foresee a vision, or does the ministry have a vision that in the near future, you know, when there's price increase in petroleum, it affects everything, that there's going to be an affordable means of transport? Because once there's increase on fuel, it affects transport and all that. Do you foresee that happening? Because it's my desire, I want to see that, yes, I can charter a vehicle that I can pay just little to transport me anywhere I want to go. Is that possible? Thank you very much.
My name is Abubakar. I'm from Major Online. Okay, so the Mansco filling station that got burnt over a year ago, I want to know what the current status of the investigation is on that, and then the LPG, the National LPG program, how is it going? Thank you.
Yeah, 3 questions, quick ones from the report on the burnt station. The progress so far made on the LPG. I'll call on the Chief Executive of NPA. He will be assisting the Minister in charge of petroleum to answer that. But before they answer, the question on the energy sector bond, we would defer this question to finance. But what I know is that 6 out of the 10 were raised, and payments were made, and we will be able to get details from finance, since they are the custody of those information. So, Alagi, please. Yes. And then you also address the price stabilization in fuel. And maybe you add together the cost of the transportation, how to reduce the transportation costs. You know. Thank you.
But first to say, on the 1st of July 2015, the petroleum price deregulation mechanism was implemented in 2015. So since then, price of petroleum products is no longer determined by the NPA or the government. It's an interplay between demand and supply, forex, and then the prices on the international markets. Essentially, these are the determinants of price of petroleum products post 1st July 2015. So in order to get a situation where we have a stable price on the international market, we have to solely rely on the forces of demand and supply. And you agree with me that Ghana is still a net importer of petroleum products, so we cannot pretend to be that strong enough to be able to hold down prices of international markets. You also agree with me, even where we have petroleum products in excess supply, prices are not stable. Unless, of course, government is going to come by way of a subsidy. And the subsidy is the reason why we have these legacy debts. And everybody is running away from subsidy. I'm not sure whether you are inviting us to go back to the days of subsidy in order to be able to hold down price of petroleum products. So those days are gone. When the prices went down in October, I believe in November and December, it reflected at the pump. Once upon a time, prices went as high as 5 CD 21 pesos. Today we are paying 4 CD 94 pesos. And that's reflective of the international market price. Now, what you are saying can also mean that when the prices go to 5.21, we should hold it there. We should stabilize the price, even though the prices are going down. Ghanaians and you yourself will not have the benefits of the reduction on the international market. So let's leave it as it is right now. Maybe one day it will come down to 4 cities. Would you still insist that we hold it stable? So that's food for thought. With respect to LPG, Masgo atomic station gas explosion, the minister's presentation also made reference to the cabinet directive of 12 October 2017, where the Ministry of Energy, by extension to the MPA, was directed to roll out the cylinder recirculation model of LPG distribution, conduct risk assessments, and then conduct also audits of infrastructure across the country, which we have done. The cumulative effect of all these activities is that we've done the risk assessment. We've categorized the stations into high risk, medium risk, and then low risk. Between the medium risk and high risk, we have over 75% of stations across the country classified as high risk. What it means is that their location that they are maintaining presently, their engineering, infrastructure, and the proximity to where we have high human capacity occupation makes it very volatile in case of an explosion. So it's part of the mechanism for rolling out the cylinder recirculation model. We put in place an implementation committee that's made up of members of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Mines and Energy, both majority and minority, the Ghana Standards Authority, EPA, Fire Service, Association of Oil Marketing Companies, Chamber of Bulk Distributors, Imani Ghana, Factories Inspectorate Directorates, LPG Marketing Companies, LPG Operators Association, LPG Tanker Drivers, the Ministry of Energy, and the MPA. So this is a very broad-based implementation committee that we have, and everybody is making an input so that we can have a mechanism for distribution of LPG which will reflect our local dynamics and also accord to international best practices. So this is where we stand. We would started the process of licensing operators. We've granted 5 licenses so far. 1 has already been constructed. A couple more are at various stages of completion. Construction permits are being granted here and there. And then hopefully by the first half of the year, there will be something to tell the good people of this country. So I'm going to add to the pricing discussion. And as he rightly said, the international market prices affect our domestic prices as well. But as a government, we have not said because of that we're going to throw our hands in despair and allow the market to dictate everything. And so we have been intervening. Taxes have been reduced, some have been taken out of the pricing formula completely, some of which the minister presented earlier. By March 2017, when we were just about 3 months or 2 months in government, the taxes and levies component constituted about 40% of the ex-pump price of petroleum products. But because of the interventions we made, abolishing the excise duty, reducing the special petroleum tax, to date, today's prices, export prices, the taxes and levies constitute about 25%. That is the extent of the impact of the interventions we have made as a government. And so, whilst we are allowing the market, we are also intervening because we are very sensitive to the impact of pricing on the economy, on the society as a whole, and on transportation, as you rightly asked. But apart from these interventions, we also have recognized the fact that we need an alternate source of transportation fuel. And therefore, discussions are far advanced to introduce CNG into the system, compressed natural gas, as an alternate to the one that we already using. And so if the Honorable Minister will agree, I would like to invite the Ghana Gas MD, who has been championing the CNG policy, to give us information on how far we have gone on that.
I think CNG, Honorable Minister, Honorable Deputy Minister, compressed natural gas, it's also a fossil fuel, if you will. So it's just like petroleum, just lighter. And in terms of the energy that you can get per unit mass, it's much more efficient. So it's cost efficient and environmentally also friendly. Now, the complaints that we've usually had with respect to conversion, that is the use of CNG as opposed to liquid fuel, the petrol, as you know, diesels, is that it usually requires some containment vessel which eats up the space behind your truck. So the government's policy really now is to start with those big vehicles. As a matter of fact, as we speak, we have an arrangement in discussion stage with Dangote to convert all their 1,200 trucks, that is 1,200 trucks, from diesel to compressed natural gas usage. Cost efficient, and certainly it also goes a long way per unit kilometer. So this is really revolutionary for us as a country to be able to gradually convert from the liquid fuels as we know them now to gaseous fuels. And we look forward to more of those vehicles being converted. Thank you.
Alasan, there's a clarification I wanted to make. I know a vendor who is saying that as a result of introduction of recirculation program, some of their attendants are going to lose their job. And besides, some of them employ some repairers who repair some of these old gas spots or whatever. And those also are going to lose their job. And then the pricing. And then thirdly, education has not gone down with Ghanaians because, you know, I don't know, because the gas is becoming more expensive than we thought it was going to be. Because when there was introduction in 1985, some of us were giving pots free of charge. But today, the pot is very expensive and the gas is very expensive. So how do you allude to some of these apprehensions by Ghanaians? Thank you.
My name is Melvin from Daily Guide. Please, Honorable, you made mention of the fact that 28 BRVs and then canoes were arrested. Can you tell us where the arrests were made? Where were these BRVs coming from? Thank you.
And I'll start from where you ended. You also mentioned that some petroleum products worth 1.1 million were confiscated. Do we have a force, a task force checking these activities? And to my main question, ExxonMobil was expected to choose a local partner. Initially, there were reports that Griffin had been chosen. Later, we heard that Gall. Now, Griffin is not happy. We understand that they are threatening some court action over this, what they call replacement. Can the minister clarify this and what went into this replacement, if at all it is the case? Thank you.
Honorable Minister, I think late last year, somewhere in September, Bost was in the news for the very wrong reason. And you made us to understand that there was going to be a forensic audit committee to investigate the payment of the $3 million to Springfield. What has become of the report? Because you made us to understand that by October ending last year, you made the public to be in the known. Thank you.
Yeah, the arrest of the BRVs, I think, Alaji, they want to know where and when. It's reflected in my statement, but you know, there's what I've given you is a great version of what I'm supposed to present. So they'll give you a booklet like this for you to go and read. I pity the finance minister. I never knew this type of job he goes through. So please, you have to talk to that. And then also the task force that you put in place. You explain about the task force. But before you do that, I'll talk briefly on the replacement of the local content or whatever partner. There's not been any instance that a partner was selected by Exxon and replaced by the ministry. So that information is wrong. The ministry got a letter. Of course, before selection of local content partners, a lot of due diligence would have gone, and that due diligence procedure is undertaken by the contractor or the operator. So this exercise was conducted and letters were sent to the ministry. The ministry, not GNPC, the mandatory authority that sanctions the selection of a local partner is the minister. I have the power to do that. It is not GNPC. A letter came to my ministry nominating 2 partners, giving preference. It is on that basis that GOEL was selected. I've repeated this several times. GNPC, as you hear, GNPC here, Dr. KK. Oh, sorry, it's not around. GNPC also had another letter that was written to them, which I saw, with another partner. I don't know how that happened. But the one that came to me as a minister to select was 2, and with a priority. And GOEL is a company that we all have stake in it. If you haven't bought a share in GOEL, this is the right time to do it. It's listed. Everybody can have a share in that Exxon process. And this were some of the reasons taken into consideration in selecting GOEL. The other partners that for some reasons were not selected, there's a lot of opportunity. Now, we have about 68 applications coming from 16 major companies applying through the competitive and negotiation procedures. We will need a lot more companies. So I'll use this opportunity to call on all other Ghanaian local content companies to make sure that they take part in this our licensing round so that they can be considered. We would not unduly punish anybody for not being selected or for being selected on a wrong ground. We will make sure that things are done, you know, in the right way. Let me read this to you, for instance. This letter was addressed to the Honorable Minister, which states that with reference to the ExxonMobil September 7, 2018 and September 22, 2018 letters to the National Petroleum Corporation, ExxonMobil has presented Griffon Energy Africa Limited and Ghana Oil Limited as companies we are prepared to move forward with us as our indigenous Ghanaian company partner in the Deepwater Cape 3 Point Petroleum Agreement. So this is the letter that is here. It's been well signed by the director stroke venture manager of Exxon. So these 2 companies were presented to the minister. And it's on the basis of this that the ministry also take a lot of things into consideration, how many Ghanaians are benefiting. Because from the perspective of local content, we want as many Ghanaians to benefit, because the natural resources belong to everybody seated here. So that is the reason. BOST, please come in. Of course, BOST already, the presidency put together a team to do a thorough due diligence, name them, investigations, audits, activity ongoing. And my deputy minister seated here, BOST, you know, was part of that team. And so because this activity has already been done, very detailed, there was no need to put up another team together to do what has already been done. It was on that basis that our audit that we intend to conduct was subsequently called off. We have already gotten the audit report, which the MD, of course, is much aware, and the implementation of that report, it's yet to begin. I'll call on the Deputy Minister to brief us what stages they've gotten to in terms of the implementation of the audit report. Thank you.
So we had 2 reports on BOST. The Ministerial Committee, which investigated the off-spec issue, presented its report to the Minister. We reviewed the recommendations, and we had a series of meetings with BOST, including the board of BOST, on how to implement the recommendations of the committee. BOST has started implementing the recommendations of the committee, and the CEO will speak to that. The second report is from a committee set up by the President himself, which I chaired, and that was to look at the financial side of BOST operation, including the audit. We produced a report which was accepted by the President, and again, we have started implementing recommendations of the report. The financial issues in BOST were very serious, including transactions that are being investigated today for possible prosecution. And so I will not give details on that. But some of the transactions were done between BOST and TOR. You remember that we had one managing director for BOST and TOR at the same time. And it was during that time such questionable transactions took place. And so because they have been investigated for possible prosecution, I will not give details. But those that concern the recapitalization of BOST, how to put BOST in a stronger financial position, those are being implemented, including a refinancing of some of their debts. For those of you who do not know, both MPA and GNPC have had to come in using their balance sheet to help in refinancing some of BOST debt, so that we can prolong the payment period to give some relief to BOST to be able to use the money they are getting at the moment to improve on their operations. And so today, about $60 million is being disbursed, which was raised through GNPC's balance sheet. And that is going to be used to support the refinancing of BOST, so that we can get some relief for BOST to use the money they are getting from the haulage, the money they are getting from the BOST levy, to improve on their own operations. So that is currently what is happening with the recommendations of the 2 committees that were put in place by the President and the Minister. And so, as far as the implementation of the recommendations of the technical committee, the MD of BOST will talk to that.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Minister. Based on the investigation done by Senior Committee on the OSPEC report, currently we are going to send the OSPEC product to TOR. We have paid the refined charges, and the product will be moved to TOR. The OSPEC product was not sold to the market as it was reported when it was happening. On the crime that's being reported that I committed by we owing and I'm trying to pay, there's a dispute on it. The case was in court at the same time, so I was trying to settle. So based on the issue that was raised in the media, the board directed that we should leave the matter to be adjudicated at the court. So the case is in court, and I would not like to comment on case that is in court.
So 3 quick issues. Issues regarding job losses, price of LPG, possibly under the cylinder recirculation model, and then public education. These are matters that have been discussed previously in the media, and like we mentioned before, and it bears repeating, that from our analysis, the current jobs that we have in the value chain will be increased by 4,000, not less than 4,500 more jobs. This due to the fact that we are now going to have bottling plants. We previously don't have bottling plants. On the average, each bottling plant is required to have between 40 and 50 workers. Then we are going to have LPG distribution companies. In between, you have LPG bulk distribution companies that will be moving the bulk from the depots to the bottling plants. Then we are going to have another set of value chain, which is going to be LPG cylinder distribution companies. They will be moving the cylinders from the bottling plants to the distribution outlets. And then again, you are going to have those who are going to break the bulk from the distribution outlets to various residential homes. So the model is going to change, and instead of losing jobs, we are going to have more jobs when we roll out this cylinder recirculation model. I do not want to go too much into it because the matter is currently pending before the Court of Appeal. The Ghana LPG Operators Association went to court, sought an injunction which was dismissed in limine, and they have appealed. The appeal has become stale. Hopefully we will vote the court's jurisdiction to throw out the appeal as well so that we can proceed. Regarding canoes and BRVs, yes, the cost of LPG, yeah, that is also a matter that has come up. We are going to have a new chain which is going to be the bottling company, which previously wasn't there. So in the price build-up, you take out something that we have in the current value chain and then replace it with the LPG bottling plant margin. So yes, you probably will see a small marginal increase, but it definitely won't be up to the prices that you see in Cote d'Ivoire, Togo, or Burkina Faso, which are our neighboring countries. Now remember, the lower your prices, the more lower your prices, chances are that you have going to have people smuggling LPG cylinders into neighboring countries, and we are going to be subsidizing some country. So that is not to be. Now, regarding canoes and then the BRVs, we have so far confiscated 53 BRVs, which were involved in all manner of illegal activities, pumping products from canoes into waiting BRVs. The canoes are normally lined as if they were carrying fish. They are lined in such a way that not even a drop will seep into the ocean. And then they move close to vessels, they pump the product into them. Some are as big as 120,000 liters. In other words, the biggest truck that you find on our roads will be carrying 54,000 liters. Now these canoes can carry 120,000 liters. That's about 2.5 times what you find in those trucks. Then they will pump the product into waiting BRVs, who will move them into various stations across the country. So our interaction and then collaboration with the security agencies has enabled us to be able to arrest about 53 of them. Some were engaged in dumping of export-bound products supposed to take to Mali. They load the products and then they change the number plate from the Malian number plate to Ghanaian number plate in secret depots, and then we chance upon them and then we confiscate them. We will be burning down the canoes, and we'll be inviting you to come over to observe. So we'll send the clearest indication that we have a zero tolerance for smuggling in the country. There is a task force that has been put up to look at revenue losses, and like you rightly alluded to, we have the NPA, we have the Ghana Revenue Authority, Customs Division, we have the National Security, and we have the Ministry of Energy, all collaborating to ensure that we deal with this menace once and for all. The minute things normalize and you don't hear any activity, it means that people are very hard at work thinking about how best to outwit the system. So things have gone quiet, and I think they are in the drawing room, and hopefully when they come out we'll also meet them on the floor. Thank you very much.
We're grateful to the Minister Minister for Energy and his able deputies, Chief Director, heads from his various agencies, the agencies under the ministry and other organizations under the ministry, and all the representatives from the Ministry of Energy in their agencies. We are also grateful to our friends from the media, and thank you for your time, for your attention, your interaction, and your participation. And this is the way to go. Thank you for all the challenging questions. Indeed, they've also proved to us that they are alert and very current with everything that is of greater concern to us all as a nation.
Don't